Okay, it's 3:03 p.m. I'm going to call to order the August 18th, 2021 Pollyanna Trail Management Council meeting. And we will have a pledge of allegiance. And Donnie, if you leave the location after the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the sunshine and this summer. Thank you for this council and the management. Thank you for the people that have joined us today. Please watch over our trail, our communities, and please help us be thankful and grateful for all the gifts that we have been given every single day, and be kind to one another, especially during this crazy time. And this we pray in your son's name, amen.
Okay, a couple of house cleans here. We have, I'll note the roll, or I'll call the roll. Chairman Wright here, Vice Chair McDonald. Here. Treasurer Steele.
Here.
Aaron Watley. Here. Ed Breakfield. Here. Bruce Pearson. Here. Allison Kemp is excused absence, and John Knoll is excused absence. Linda Moran.
Here.
And Kevin Green is excused absence. We do have a quorum. Allison is here. Allison did make it. Okay, we'll mark you present, Allison.
Thank you.
For that, at 3:05, somewhere in that range. Okay. Okay, approval of the agenda. I want to make one amendment to that. We're going to add under new business item 9G as a reimbursement for chipper blades. So that should be a quick motion and approval. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by Treasurer Steele, second by Councilor Breakfield to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. On to the consent agenda. Consent agenda in front of you, councilors, is the approval of the June 16, 2021 meeting minutes, bills for June and July, financial reports for June and July, and the trail manager report for July and August. Any questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, a motion by Councilor Pearson, second by Treasurer Steele to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further questions, comments? If not, Secretary Kemp, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Breakfield.
Yes.
Steele.
Yes.
Watley.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Knoll. Absent. McDonald.
Yes.
Kemp. Yes.
Okay, that motion does carry. On to the public comment portion. Any public comments? Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm J.D. Moreau, for those might not know who I am. I serve as an administrative volunteer for our local Girl Scout Council, Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan. And in that role, I serve as what we call a service unit manager for the Lake Orion and Oxford area. And today I'm here to present a plaque to the Pollyanna Trail. Each year, our council receives nominations for volunteers or community/business partners that we want to recognize that have given their time and effort to the Girl Scouts. Our council has a board that reviews these nominations. They determine the awardees, and I am proud to announce that for 2021, Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan would like to honor the Pollyanna Trail as a friend of Girl Scoutings. The criteria for this award is that the community/business partner recognize, understands, and practices the habit of inclusive behavior, supports Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan with at least one event that supports the Girl Scout leadership experience, and actively supports Girl Scouting through funds, resources, community connections, and in-kind donations. And the Pollyanna Trail, especially with your trail manager, Linda Moran, and the board as well, have met this criteria many times over by sponsoring Girl Scout community service days on the trail, as well as partnering with our Girl Scouts who are working on the high award of bronze, silver, and gold. So I'm happy today to be here to present a plaque to the board and to Linda to recognize your dedication and commitment to improving Girl Scout lives and making the world a better place. Congratulations.
Give it right to Mr. Wright.
Can I get a picture of you real quick as the
Yeah.
council?
Yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
standing.
If this is not what I wore dress. All right, there we go.
And then why don't you get a picture of me and
Yeah.
Kathleen?
Good job.
As well.
If you can, see if you can get as many as you can.
Come on, you guys.
Let me in here. This is a nice little award here.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Do it somewhere else.
Can we, you want us to get in front of the table?
Let's go by the flag.
Yeah, that's better.
There we go.
It must be those
I'm good.
dog.
Come on, Mike, you gotta get in here.
I know.
Give your phone if you want a picture.
The outhouse.
We'll get,
And then,
we're good.
the Oxford girls.
Ed, move over to the recycling plate.
Silver award.
Can you make it?
Oh, Mike, you need to get in here.
Yeah, Mike, come on.
It's good, it's good.
Yeah, you can do
Come
it.
on, Mike.
Come on, Mike.
You've been doing it for 20.
Smile.
Mike doesn't want to be associated with us.
Yeah, I know. Got him on it, got his work.
I knew he had high standards.
Good job, Jody. Good job. Thank you.
That's the girl
Thank you so
right
much.
there.
Thank you.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
everybody
Thanks a
loves
lot.
her down
Appreciate
here.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I'm telling you, every time I go by, they're at the meet. Those are
That
those.
was a great effort.
Yeah, so it's like, fantastic.
Thank you.
You don't have to sleep the rest of the night.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh, look at this.
When we put that little Hall of Fame.
Thanks.
These are my son's perspective. Recognition.
And Girl Scouts.
Yeah, very nice, you know, like.
That's our first goal.
Picture.
Our first goal girl.
All right, any other public comment? Anybody else? I don't see anybody
David's on the
else.
agenda.
David, you're on the agenda, so we'll get to you.
Yeah, you gotta
Okay.
wait.
Citizen rep report, item number 7, Kevin is not present, so we'll move on to our unfinished business. First item is the easement or license conveyance policy. I sent this item and the next one coming up to council ahead of time because of the, I guess how thorough this document is, or took for a lot of effort by Vice Chair McDonald and our attorney Lisa Hamame, and I just tell the
Chairperson Wright contributed significantly as well.
I showed up. But anyway, this is what we came up with for the council to consider for putting the policy in place. So I don't know if anybody has any comments that they'd like to add before we consider a motion to approve. And for the procedure, what we did, we broke it down into 3 sections: MDNR, property owned; Polyantral, property owned; and also the private ownership of properties. So what we did is we put down the requirements what an applicant must submit depending on where the property is located for the easement. And some of the requirements do overlap, and some of them are specific to the particular properties. So if you look at pages 2 and 3, moving forward, the application procedure, you can see there's 4 sections for the MDNR, 4 for the Polyantral owned properties, and there's 5 if it's privately owned accordingly. One thing that we want to make particular attention to is the factors for the Polyantral to consider. That would be us as the council. We came up with 14 items listed here that either potentially could apply or definitely will apply as far as the process for the applicant. So we felt it was very thorough. So we're just looking for feedback. And if you don't have any further feedback, then we would need consideration for approval. One thing I'd like to discuss, though, is when it says on page 4, factors for Polyantral to consider. Does council feel that we are somewhat flexible on whether every one of those would be part of an application approval? Because if you go to page 5, the contents, those 14 items are what we are proposing would be required of an applicant. So I'll open up the floor for any further comments, concerns, if you like the document, if you don't. Donnie, probably going to you, seeing you are basically our first applicant.
Crash test them.
Yeah, what was your thoughts?
I had 3, okay, maybe 4.
We had 4 of the easement
Okay.
applications.
Yeah, it's the cost, but I think you cover that in the next with the application along with the attorney fees. The escrow fees for the attorney, so that probably is in the application. And then the thing is like if you were to write the application, who reviews the application and who actually writes the easement? So those are just like the practical portions of this. So for instance, I've turned in an application, but that's on the next issue. But who's going to review the application? Who's going to actually write the physical easement? And then who then reviews the physical easement? And then does it have to go back to the commission for approval of that?
Yeah, they're good questions, and I would think initially the application would be submitted to the council, and if council feels that attorney review would be necessary, we could forward it on to that next step. Unless council feels it needs to automatically go to attorney, or just council approval without any attorney involvement or expense. Mike, any comment back on that?
No, I think we went over that. I think, though, the expectation is that the fees that we charge, the escrow, will cover the trail attorney drawing up the easements and reviewing them, because eventually she or he would have to see them anyways to verify that even though we approved it, that is reflected in the legal documents. So that cost should be covered by the applicant, and we can do that either by the amount of money that we charge for submitting an application, or we can make it as just payment to cover all professional fees as part of the policy. So, but we would do that once we have adopted a policy for licensing for easements.
Okay, so I created an actual easement, and then, okay, I don't know if I should wait with these questions or not for the next question.
Yeah, probably if the policy works here, then they'll move on to the application.
Okay.
We can feed into that, and then we'll go.
Okay, then my only other addition to the actual policy is the appraisal, and that, would you really indeed need an appraisal for the actual easement and have an appraiser go over there and say, okay, let me appraise 15 feet? Or could you waive the actual appraisal and have a fee of a license fee that would be adequate to the council? That might be something to look at, because you might say $200 or $500 or $1,000 is adequate, and you don't actually need someone to go out and do an appraisal of 16 feet, because that might be a waste of time and money. That's just a thought. And then the easements include utility easements as well, right? This whole application.
It would be no, it would have to be specified exactly what you were applying for. It doesn't automatically cover any kind of easement on the trail.
Okay.
So if you're looking for strictly access, that's okay.
Okay.
If you want utility, you also have to demonstrate that you've tried other means of obtaining that utility from other areas to the property. And I mean, yours is a rather unique case because it's landlocked and water bound. But generally, no, it would be one thing, whatever you apply for, and if you apply for anything else, that would have its own review as well.
Okay. So.
But it could fit in the same easement though, correct?
Well, yes, but the council would have to
A case-by-case basis.
review that, and it should
Okay.
be included from the onset.
Okay. So that answers my questions for the policy. I think you guys did a good job.
So as far as the appraisal though, that's something, I don't know if we've ever charged any monies for any other easements on the Pollyant Trail. They'd be mostly Madison, I would imagine. Could that be
Are you talking about for
DNR?
utilities or,
Any of them.
Anything, access, utilities, anything that,
we really haven't had any, except fixing some of the drains or whatever. And the cable, I think cable came down there, but they, we didn't charge them anything.
yeah, so whether we need an appraisal will have to be determined or not, because we're looking at 800 square feet, and you go by market, sales approach,
Right.
you know, how much can you actually find value of these things? Mike, go ahead.
The trail attorney was pretty adamant about including appraisals because the property value that is conveyed through the easement is going to come back and affect it as well. Because once it becomes part of a more expensive parcel, because it has access. So, but in my opinion, we have every capability to review and do as we wish, whether we want to have an appraisal or not.
So are you saying this is for like the Orion Township assessor? I mean, are you saying because the property is landlocked, once we give it access, now the property now is worth whatever? Is that what, I mean, to me, that's an issue with the Orion assessor, and why are, you know, once we convey that to them, then that's up to the township assessor in that community, because it doesn't affect us.
Well, as I said, Curtis and I weren't big on it, but the attorney was pretty insistent.
Pretty
So,
adamant.
Are you saying that we should just notify the township that we've allowed this and then let it be up to them, or are you saying that we should get a?
Well, as part of the requirement process, our recommendation has to go to the local unit, and then from there, it needs to be determined whether or not it needs to come back to us for a final approval, or whether we can approve based upon local unit of government concurring with our decision. So
Well,
that's
I'm okay with that, but I thought you were talking just strictly about the value of the property once we gave the easement.
that was one of the things that the attorney mentioned.
Yeah, Donnie, go ahead.
So Lisa, who is doing our license agreements for the easements on the Paint Creek Trail, and we're going through systematically every easement that has been granted to go over or under or on top of the Paint Creek Trail. And so there's a license agreement being rewritten by Lisa for each one of those. And so like Dillman and Upton, is that how you say it, has using a portion of the trail to store lumber. And there's another one that's Solaronics is using a portion of the trail to turn around. And then like there's one that DTE goes under, and there's another gas line that goes under. And we're charging each one of those easements a fee, and we get revenue from each one of those fees. So trying to determine what we've charged, why we charge, what we're going to charge in the future has been a very cumbersome project. So I'm thinking that Lisa has this very innate knowledge of giving value to these easements up front moving forward, and I'm thinking that the Pollyant Trail is going to get paid for these easements depending on what the easement is. And that's why I think that maybe the appraisal is really important. And having moving forward, I think that you guys would charge a license fee, and that you have money that comes and get revenue, that we get revenue off of these fees, and that the license are good, that moving forward, we have good documentation, because on the Paint Creek Trail, it's been very laborious.
So this looks pretty good in your opinion.
Yes, and then making sure that the easement is actually written correctly with the actual dollar amount, and then that we have it on file, and then every year in our budget, we say Enron, DTE, Steel gives us this amount of money, and it becomes part of your revenue.
That driveway is for $200,000.
Yeah, easy.
I agree with you, this is great.
I like that.
That could be a good project going forward.
Enbridge up on
The Painted Trail, they own their trail. though. You have to
I'm
remember.
understanding this much better now.
Yeah.
The
good
cloud just
point.
went
I
away.
think Donnie pretty much nailed it. I think it is the attorney's priority to make sure that the council is made whole for the value that the land has, and that we have always operated on a kind of a license. Once you get the license or the easement and pay your fees, et cetera, whatever we agree to, then that is it. We're not doing a yearly assessment or appraisal or anything like that. At least we aren't yet. So I don't see any, and I don't see us going in that direction anytime soon. I mean, that, as you said, that requires quite a bit of administration and coordination, and it just makes us top heavy on administration for what we're actually doing. So,
All right, Ed, Aaron, Allison, any comment on this?
I think you guys did a great job.
All right, if there's nothing further on that, there's just a quick motion put in the packet for consideration to approve if this is okay with council to move forward.
I'll move to approve the Pollyant Trail Management Council easement or license conveyance policy as presented.
Okay, a motion by Councilor Wiley, second by Councilor Kemp to approve the Pollyant Trail Management Council easement or license conveyance policy. Any further questions or comments from council? If not, let's call the roll on that, please.
Brakefield.
Yes.
Steele.
Yes.
Watley.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Noel absent. McDonald.
yes.
Kemp, yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. We will move on now to the easement or license application. Okay, segue into Donnie's concerns and comments. The first question is the fee. What fee are we going to charge? That's a blank line at this point. So do we know how much we need to charge for the application? Mike, you indicated the state charged $300, was it?
That's what the state charges to make application to them. It doesn't include all the professional fees or anything. That's just a one-time application fee.
So I'm wondering if they have overhead involved administrative, why they put in $300. Do we need $300 for the application?
Well,
Depends.
the depth of that is, if we expect to pay the attorney to review it for us, then we're going to pay $150 for an hour's work. And she did say she didn't think it would take more than an hour to go over it. So we're looking at a $150 cost there. Besides the administrative work, Linda will probably be the contact person, and she will get the information from the applicant and then work with us to get us ready for a meeting and work with the attorney to, as part of this process. So we are going to be feeling our way along a little bit at first, but
Correct.
a $300 application fee doesn't seem unreasonable given our needs to cover our costs and time.
Yeah.
And that $300 is supposed to cover title work, or?
No, I don't think so. I think that would be, we would require that
In addition.
along with the possibility of an appraisal, depending on the parcel, what we're looking at. And it would also vary with the type of easement being requested, et cetera. And not to mention drafting the easement language. if an applicant has it, we would still have to have it reviewed by our attorney.
Yeah.
And that's where the fees that the trail would adopt should have, or make sure that it covers any professional fees that may be a part of the application, of the actual review and approval.
I was looking in the policy that we just approved, it seemed there was some language in here about the title search, the fees that were, or who's responsible for that. Also, Mike and I received an email from Lisa, Attorney Lisa Huntingmay, indicating if this application is approved, to add some language in there that the Pelican Trail Management Council would authorize the attorney to draft the easement consistent with the policy on that.
And that's why we have to do it, because we can't, the applicant can design an easement to their own needs. We just need to make sure our needs are covered. So it would be better if we drafted it, and that, as Curtis said, it would be consistent.
All right, the easement writer evidently in this case would be the attorney. That would be the person doing it. The information to be submitted, what I would imagine would go to council first, and then council would direct it, unless you had a point person to actually determine where that information goes to, and then where it would go from there, whether it goes to council or council gives the point person the ability to forward it on, or something else. So,
Yeah, right now, the process would probably be the applicant contacts the trail manager or the council. The trail manager arranges to get the application and information policy to the applicant, and learns as much as possible about what's being proposed. Then, once we get an application that is complete and paid for, that would probably be when we would schedule it before the council. Who the contact person would be, by default, it would be the chair right now.
Yeah, I would think
Unless
so,
the
too.
council wants to designate another member for that particular job. And then, then it would be also at that time when we receive a completed application, I envision that it would automatically be sent, or should be sent, to the host community where the application is for. I don't think, I am not in favor personally, and I don't think the policy says that we have to make a decision on whether we want to grant it or not and then send it to the host community. I think it should go to the community right away so that they know and have an opportunity to look at the situation as well. And then they have a chance to respond, and if they don't respond within 60 days, the host community doesn't respond, then we can take whatever action we like. And they've lost that opportunity as long as we did notify them.
yeah, I would think that the structure could be quicker, but 60 days works, then so be it. If you could structure through, I don't believe there's real issues on an easement application from the Pelican Trail by the community. But I'm only one of several board members where I decide. So,
If that's the case, would you add that to the trail policy, to the sequence? It would go to the community or the townships first before it comes back to us?
well, the way it was written, the way it is written in the application policy,
See, it submits documents, approval, easement, license.
Yeah, it's under the application procedure, shall forward the application to the local government unit, which is affected, in which the affected property is located for recommendation.
What page is it? 3?
Page 2.
Okay, I see it. 3.
Yeah, there's no timeline indicated there. I think the attorney may pull that out. So,
Sounds to me like it's cut and dried.
Yeah, and then in this case, on page 3 of the policy, it does say that we will forward the application to the local unit of government,
Yeah.
which the affected property is located for recommendation. So if that's the case, like Mike indicated, we would just automatically forward the
Yeah.
application to get a recommendation back from respective board and council on what they feel needs to be completed, which would be probably 2 meetings.
Did you want to add the application fee of $300 somewhere on the application itself?
It'll be on the last page. If we do add it, there's a blank for it.
Yeah, page 5. There's page 5.
Let's see, maybe I'll go, yeah, page 4 of 4.
I see it.
It's number 8, application fee of blank dollars.
Plus, our attorney recommended that we expand that to include application fee of whatever dollars and all what was, you had the language, I didn't bring it with me. Professional fees, escrow, and title search, but would be their responsibility.
So we want to add plus professional fees. Title search. And what was the other one, Mike? Escrow.
I think that's what Linda's, or Lisa said, wasn't it, escrow
Well,
for attorney fees, maybe? Was that specific?
escrow
I should
for,
remember.
escrow for professional fees.
Okay.
That would cover, we need an engineer,
Right.
attorney, or anybody else. So we'll add that language into the final document.
And there is a correction in the application, item number 4, under license or easement questionnaire. It says, if you have been or are currently utilizing the Pollyant Trail for the without, well, that's a typo. The for the should not be in there. It would be crossed out.
It's on page 2, number 4, first sentence right at the end. Following the law.
I'll make the motion.
All right, then, you make the motion.
I move to approve the Pollyant Trail Management Council easement license application as presented with the changes that were just made, and approve the application fee in the amount of $300.
I'll second that.
Okay. We gotta hold you up here. We got a motion and a second on the floor. Motion by Councilor Watley, second by Councilor Wakefield to approve the application. But the attorney also indicated, and I'll give this to you, Aaron, to add this language to the motion. You haven't seen it?
You didn't expect that, huh, did you?
It's highlighted. Okay.
I'll amend my motion and also include and authorize the Pollyant Trail Management Council's attorney to prepare an easement consistent with the Pollyant Trail Management Council's easement and license conveyance policy.
My second, it still stands.
Okay, good. So,
Thank you.
So with that, I have 2 motions on the floor. We'll vote on the amendment first to add the attorney language, as Aaron just read. And then we'll vote on the original motion. So everybody good?
Yes.
Understand?
So, just so I'm clear, it's $300, which includes escrow and attorney fees, or is it $300 in addition to escrow and attorney fees?
In addition
In
to.
addition.
So the escrow may not even be used.
And so what is, so it's $300 plus an escrow fee, what is the actual escrow fee?
It would be whatever
Those fees end
professional
up,
services would.
are added up?
Right.
Okay.
All right, everybody clear?
Yep.
All right, Allison, now we'll vote on the amended motion first, so if you'll call the roll on that.
Steele,
Yes.
Watley,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Nold, absent, McDonald,
Yes.
Kemp, yes, Pearson,
Yes.
Brakefield.
Yes.
Okay, the motion, the amended motion carries. Now we will vote on the original motion, which was to approve the policy, or the application, excuse me.
Watley.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes?
Noel. Absent McDonald.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Brayfield.
Yes.
I skipped around. Kemp, yes. McDonald.
Steele, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, that motion carries. Okay, we have cleaned up the policy and the application. Now we're on to our first application of the Pollyant Trail. So the first order of business I'd like to do is to entertain a motion to authorize Treasurer Steele to abstain from discussion or vote on the issue because it was her request.
I'll make a motion to excuse member or Representative Steele, Councilperson Steele from the vote and abstain from comment unless she excuses herself from the council temporarily.
Okay, motion by Vice Chair Donald, second by Councilor Watley to approve the extension of Treasurer Steele from comment or participation on the subject agenda item. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, what we have in front of us is the application. We've been briefed on it before in this room back in April, so we got a good idea of what we're looking to do as a council for direction to the applicant. So just in front of you, there were several documents that was presented. Just to run through those real brief, you'll see the applicant has the application completed according to the policy, well, according to the application it's filled out. And then with an addendum of several documents, we have a cash sale document that was provided indicating the desire to purchase. We have an addendum to buy and sell agreement, an addendum and amendment. We have previous documents included, which was the Grand Trunk Forester and the Railroad letter dated in 1956, the license general form, the letter to the previous owner back in 1971, I believe it was. We have a road commission permit to access the property dated in 1957. We have some aerial photographs provided by the applicant of the property. We have the commitment for title insurance, and we have a quitclaim deed that was recently quitclaimed over from the previous owners to the current sellers to the applicant. So with that, I want to run through the application, and I want to base that based on the policy that we have in place, and then we will determine if this application is sufficient to approve, or whether these are the outstanding items that need to be provided before we move forward. So with that, I'm going to go back to the policy. And do we want to look at it based upon factors or based upon required documents, or both?
I think required documents is really what we should be looking at this point.
All right.
We've gotten the history of the parcel. We've gotten, now, what I'm not clear on is, do we have a dimensional, do we have a legal description yet, Donnie, of the actual easement?
To be provided.
It has been ordered.
Okay.
And I just would like to make 3 points of work that you don't see in this application. One, it's already has went to the planning and zoning director, because this was where with land, Tammy Gurley, and she has run it by our attorney, and they will submit a letter saying that it will be okay within the township, but they need to probably see the application so they know what they're actually referring to. So that was one. So they're not going to provide anything until they see something.
Right.
2, I have talked to the surveyor. He is working on the actual legal description. And it's going to be just a little bit south of where it is on the Grand Trunk, just based on the elevations of the property, because it's steep, and if you move it a little bit south of where it is on this diagram, it's better for washout and viewing and connecting the driveway, not having to recreate a new driveway. Yes, that. Yes,
So here.
that, yep.
Okay, so it's going
And
south.
It'll be a little bit south.
Okay.
And it will be at the 90-degree angle, which is requested in this. He's working on it right now. He'll come up with a legal description that will follow to be in the actual easement agreement. And both the easement agreement along with the legal description will be put together to be recorded at the time of conveyance of sale. So it will be done all at the same time.
The conveyance will be to whom?
It'll be from the current seller to me.
Well, no. Who are we going to, we're going to put this in the current owner's name, and then she'll convey the property and easement to you? Or, because we are fixed on, it has to go to the property owner.
Okay.
You are representing, at this time,
I
you have a
understand.
legal
I
right.
understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
so the easement is drafted in the name of the current seller, and the legal description will be in their name, and then it'll be conveyed to me at the time of closing, that I'll have the legal description. Okay,
Right.
that makes sense.
You would have to handle that.
Okay, and so that'll be, and then the third part about it is the title search will be done at the time, I mean, it's already been done, part of it's been done already, and they can't even close without doing a title search of the legal description at the time of closing. So that will be provided, and the expense will, it won't have to be in the front end, and you won't have to collect for it, and you won't have to do the title work, because no title company will close without having a recordable easement for ingress and egress, and they will insure over that based on that legal description. So that will be taken care of as well. So did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
It was good to fill in on some loose ends, what we need to do. Okay, so that answers question number one, right, Mike?
Yes.
Number two, consideration. That's to be determined as far as the appraisal and that type of work, correct?
Well, right. Now, Donnie did make an original, what would you call it, Donnie? A proposal about,
Oh, I did, yeah.
is that withdrawn or is that
Oh, no,
still-
it's, let me
The
see.
letter back in April,
Yeah, that was,
the $200 a year for 5 years or
yes.
something?
Yeah.
So the council has made, I guess we can take that into consideration in lieu of an appraisal, an official appraisal. That would be within our jurisdiction. Or we could go and ask for an appraisal.
Yeah, the proposal was offer a license fee to the Pelican Trail Management Council, $200 per year for 5 years, and we'll be donating a picnic table to be placed in a location in care of the Pelican Trail Management Council. That was the proposal. So if that suffices in place of an appraisal, I guess I can't answer that question. I guess I'll look for some guidance.
So it's $1,000 for the total amount. That's exactly what I think that they paid to cross the Pollyant Trail for the pipeline too.
Is that right?
That's, I mean, we've already set precedents on it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because, you know, if you do this and somebody else comes along, they paid $1,000, so it looks like that's all you're gonna get from me. So I guess that could be consideration in the process here before we need to make a decision on it. I mean, I guess you could take a consensus. Is that something that anybody's opposed to? You think it should be more, you think it should be less? Is it just right? So I guess we'll move on, but that's something that can be part of the whole package once we finalize this. Okay, then on to number 3. The term, is it a permanent easement? We're going to grant a permanent easement. I would imagine that's what the purpose of the request is. This is something that we would need as the applicant to give us indemnification, hold harmless, and then the insurance documents that would be coming forth to us. I guess this might be on me is to contact the risk manager for the insurance for the requirements for the applicant. We might already be covered too for any easements because there's already pre-existing ones on the trail. Go ahead, Bruce.
Do we have anything in there that, I mean, I know we're now creating traffic across the trail. Do we have any way of putting stop signs?
That's part of it.
That's in the required, okay.
Yeah,
I just
we're
want to
gonna
make
get to
sure
it.
that we're not putting stop signs on the trail. It's going to be for the driveway. correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Detailed restrictions or limitations on use. As far as I know, it's going to be single-family residential only. No further allowed uses. No further allowed uses. And here's requirement for the installation and maintenance of appropriate signage at applicant's sole cost and expense. So I would imagine, like you said, Bruce, would be stop signs. I would imagine on both sides for the applicant. And then I would imagine also there might be some signage required probably in trailway as far as caution, hidden driveway or something that would alert the users.
Well, the responsibility be on the vehicular traffic going across. Our people riding bicycles aren't going to
No, that's true.
know where every driveway is.
Do we have any of those, Linda, in any part of the easements, like on, just on, like off of Roland Road? Is there any warning to the people?
There is a stop sign on the driveway just east of Roland. There's stop signs on either side of their driveway.
Or what about for the
For the
trail?
trail.
For the trail.
For the trail, but not for vehicles.
So we would not necessarily need anything for the trail.
Well, that is a good question. I mean, why wouldn't we?
Well, we'd have to put an awful lot of them up, maybe, because there are, I mean, we got four-wheeler trails that they can go over onto the contiguous property there, you know, so we don't, but once we start that, my thing is that the trail users have the right of way. Everybody else should be maintaining, and it shouldn't be our obligation to.
Well, there would be at least a crossing notification at the township, not at the township, but at the trail easement for the road, for a driveway, like at the beginning of the driveway and coming in the opposite directions, warning trail ahead or,
On the private drive, you mean?
well, it could be on the trail property, just a notification that there is a path there for people that aren't familiar, that might be coming to visit, coming or going.
Anybody would cross,
We're not saying stop, we're just saying we want them to be alert that there are potential to have cross traffic.
Is there any sight distance issues in those areas? I mean, if the user can actually see what they're up against as far as traffic coming, that might not necessitate a sign requirement.
There is only one that I'm aware of, and that would be at Acton's Crossing.
Okay.
That actually has a warning sign that there is a stop sign ahead, because that is around the curve and it's a blind curve. So you can't really see when you come around. If you're on the trail, you can't see if you're pulling out of Acton because it's burned. You can't see when you pull out. And there's stop signs when they leave the pit and on the trail. There's stop signs.
So should it be case-by-case basis?
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the trail has a right of way, and we start putting all kinds of signs, slow down here or go here. I'm just saying the obligation is on the traffic crossing the trail, that they need the stop signs there, and the trail has a right of way, that's all.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on, and I think that would be to be determined whether or not we require that or not, because it does say signage, but it doesn't refer to, it says appropriate signage, so define appropriate. We can move forward. Number 8, responsibility for restoration and maintenance of the easement or license area at applicant's sole cost and expense. Linda, what do you think would be necessary to restore the trail?
Well, once they, you know, it kind of depends on what kind of machinery they're going to be bringing in. You know, is there going to be some erosion issues that'll have to be addressed? Again, I think it'll be on a case-by-case, you know, basis. A builder could do a quite tidy job and not have much of a problem. I've seen some pretty untidy jobs too, which would be a lot.
Is there where you would might require an escrow? No?
I think that would be the proper way to do it. If they're gonna, during construction,
Yeah.
Retainer, that's what it is.
they can get a bond back later.
Okay. Okay, easement or license shall be non-exclusive, so we're not restricting it. For any permitted use shall not interfere with use of the trail. Easement and license grant shall be exclusive to the property owner, no assignment or leasing of easement or license rights. No repairs, maintenance, or alteration to the trail without prior written approval of the County Trail Management Council. Establish measures to provide for the safety and unimpeded use by trail users. Termination, reversion provisions as determined appropriate by County Trail Management Council depending on the circumstances of each request on a case-by-case basis, including without limitation termination for any breach of conditions, restriction, or limitation stated in the easement or license agreement, and a statement that the document shall be recorded at the Register of Deeds. Would that be required of the applicant or the council for the recording?
Well, that would be one of the professional fees to record,
Regardless of who does it?
it seems like
Okay.
to me.
Let me ask you this, and we do have, it is written in there though, that it's for a single-family easement, but not
Single
be
home.
split at, the property split again, and then for someone to say it's still for a single-family easement, but we're just putting another
Sure.
home on it. It's for one
Single
applicant,
home.
one home
Single home.
only.
It is spelled out.
Not to split the property. at
Serving,
all.
yeah, serving only one residential structure, no assignment or transfer of rights. Prohibition of the trail user interference, hindrance, or obstruction.
Okay.
Back to the factors to consider. Does the road commission permit run with the land? It was dated in 1957. I don't know the answer, throwing it out to council. Because it was deeded, the permit was issued to the owner in 1957, not to the current owner or the prospective purchaser.
Our process is that the applicant must show if they're using any other easement that they still have that easement. So yes, you would have to show that the road commission has no problem crossing from their property to yours, or to ours, so to speak.
And it was a road right away, you know, and so what they'll give is a driveway permit.
Okay.
And that would be, to me, it's like you're leaving the road right away with the driveway starting right at the edge, which starts at the Pollyant Trail, really, and then it goes to the parcel. So it's, I don't need an easement from them because it's within the road right away to get right, but it's right up to the Pollyant Trail. So there are no other easements that need to be obtained to get from the actual road to the Pollyant Trail. I think that's what you guys are trying to say. Do I have to go
Right.
road, ITC, Pollyant? It's road right away, Pollyant. That's this plan.
Now, the road right away is there.
Yeah, and if you look on the map of the whole application, you can see visually how it
Right.
it connects.
Okay, so then, yes, we can consider the easement as being, already having connectivity to the local road commission. So we don't need to do anything there or have any proof.
It doesn't appear that way.
Doesn't appear.
It doesn't appear that way, because it does exist.
Right.
And there's no, I don't know if ITC has any say in this, because it's brought up before, but there again, it's road commission easement right to the Pollyant Trail easement.
And I can answer that one as well. The road, I did talk to ITC and they said, provided that the Pollyant says it's okay, they say it's okay. And I have that document as well. So I did call them. And I can give you a copy of that if you need it.
Okay, so now what we need to do is determine if we're going to approve this application, what outstanding items are still to be required of the applicant within it. So based on that,
I think the understanding has to be that the property will have a title restriction for serving only one home. That would have to be a deed restriction that would be included. And they would have to accept that.
would you approve this contingent on satisfactory
That would be one of the conditions.
provision of the
Deed
requirements of the
restriction.
policy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't want to be brought back into court saying, well, now I have an opportunity to split this property and put 3 more houses in there, and that easement should handle 3 more houses. We just don't want to have them be brought back into court on it and have it tested.
Let me run this by the council. I would consider making a motion to approve the application subject to our attorney's review and the Trail Council informing Orion Township officially of our decision, pending decision, and asking for their review and response. And that conditions for the approval of the easement would include that it is a permanent easement, that the property owners will indemnify and hold harmless the Pollyant Trail Council. They will pay for / install appropriate signage for the trail crossing, that it be deed restricted to a single home, to serving only a single home, and that it be legal description and property survey be provided prior to issuance of the easement to the owner of the property, of the affected property.
And like in some wills and trusts, it says, and if this is contested, you lose the easement altogether.
Are you serious? Or are you?
See what I mean?
Well, I have subdivisions that want to go in, they want to come to court and they want to cross the trail. And our stance is, no, they can't cross the trail, they have to come in from a different way. Otherwise, you're going to have 100 homes crossing the trail.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that condition, whether somebody else would. You know, if their intention is not to only use it for a single home down the road, they would not agree to that. So if we put it in there, they have a choice. If they don't agree to it, there is no easement.
The issue is they put an easement in and then they say, don't worry, we'll go to court later. we'll get what we want later. It'll be a new administration, it'll be new people, we'll talk to somebody else, we'll
So-
get what we want later on.
So the deed restriction would say what? Or should we just ask our attorney to draft the language?
Just draft it up that it's for that purpose, and if they want to contest that single application, then they lose the right to the easement.
Which would be a reversion clause, basically.
Okay, and I also think you need to add to that motion any other requirements of the easement or license conveyance policy.
Okay, say that again.
Any other requirements of the easement or license conveyance policy. Because if, based upon what we approved, if the Pine Trail decides to grant a request for an easement or license, the applicant must provide proof of ownership to the Pine Trail before the easement or license agreement is approved. The easement or license agreement shall be in the form approved by the Pine Trail Management Council. Shall include at a minimum the following. So as long as these items are included, in addition to the statements that you brought out there, Mike, I believe would cover the Pollyant Trail pretty tight.
Okay,
So what I would have you do is, if you can repeat what you'd like to put in the motion, to a motion.
well, I can use some help. So I'm suggesting that I would consider offering a motion to approve the permanent easement subject to final Pollyant Trail attorney's review, and that the trail requires that the owner, the affected property owner, and benefiting the person or whoever benefits from the easement, they indemnify and hold harmless the Pollyant Trail, which would be the Natural Resources Commission and the Pollyant Trail Management Council. They would pay for and install appropriate signage. They would agree to deed restriction, that the easement would serve only a single home, and that they would lose use of the easement under any other conditions, and that the conveyance would be to the owner of the affected property, whoever that would be. It can't be to, and this is not part of the motion, but it couldn't be to Donnie because she doesn't actually own the property yet, even though she made application. But we would convey it to whoever owns it. That's the main part of the policy. And then final would be, and I'm not sure I understood Curtis, but any other requirement of the policy of the Pollyant Trail at this time.
Requirement of the Pollyant Trail easement or license policy.
Okay.
Conveyance policy.
Would be for the conveyance policy.
Is that all, Mike?
I think so.
Okay. Anybody like to second that motion? All right, the chair will second the motion for discussion. All right. So it's a motion by Vice Chairman McDonald, second by Chairman Wright, to approve the request for an easement to access parcel 0909-283-012 in Orion Township based on the criteria as indicated by Vice Chairman McDonald. The reason for putting that last statement in, to me, is to cover any items that might have been missed. This being required.
It's not part of the motion.
Yes.
Right. Gotcha.
That's my requirement.
So we're saying the policy applies and that these are specifics that are addressed directly consistent with that policy.
As the motion maker, that's what you'd like to
Right.
see in the policy, in the application
Right.
to proceed. Right. Is everybody clear?
Yeah, I've got one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's reference to the motion, and Mike, I think you cleared it up, but it's based on a single resident only
A single residential home
unit only.
only.
Okay, that's important to me because, and a person wants to get a piece of property, one resident only, and then they want to have 5 campers, temporary campers for the whole summer. That would, in that motion, it would not be allowed, would it? Because you said only.
Right, any use, we're making a distinction between a single-family residential use versus a single-family unit.
Okay.
We're saying it's only one home, it's not 2 or 3 homes, it serves one home unit,
Okay.
not a single-family residential use, which is part of our policy. Our policy spells out that that is the only.
That's correct.
The only condition that we have and will consider is for a single-family residential use serving only one home.
Perfect.
That's
So
it.
if somebody had a business, like a riding school or something like that, where you might have 20 people coming through, would that eliminate that use?
Well, they could make application, but our policy pretty clearly spells out that we're
Not
only-
used for
we're
commercial
not trying to-
business
We're not using
or a
that.
home business use? Okay.
It's to, and we have to consider the health, safety, and welfare of the trail users. And that's where our power comes from, so to speak, because that's a priority for all of us as community representatives, is the health, safety, and welfare. And that's really what we're talking about.
Yeah, and plus two, with getting the local government approval, will give you a chance to actually determine what the application's use of the property would be. You know, if they're coming to you with single-family residence, and the next thing you know, we got a campsite popped up there, it's probably a zoning violation, which would be able to cease and desist. Okay, I'm going to call the roll. I'm going to call the motion in and have Elsie call the roll if there's no further questions, comments, concerns. And Treasurer Steele is Steve.
Wright,
Yes.
Nold, absent. McDonald,
Yes?
Kemp, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Brakefield,
Yes.
Watley.
Yes.
Okay, we will digest the motion and we'll have that ready to
Okay.
approve at our next meeting.
And so who will send the letter to Orient? And to whom do we send it? You alluded to that, Donnie.
Tammy.
Is that something?
I can do it as a chair on behalf of the Polly and Trail Management Council. We are requesting consideration of approval for parcel such and such in Orion Township, and I'm looking for board's recommendation back to council. I'd like something to that effect. That works.
It might be helpful to send the application. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna attach the application because it's got all of it in there.
I'd probably almost consider the whole packet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that-
And then I did find the ITC. I don't know, do you want that or not? Do you want that, let me send it to you so you
Well,
have it?
yeah, why don't you send it, Donnie, that way there,
Okay.
it'll clear up any questions somebody else might have on that. Okay, we're gonna move on, this time we're moving as well. The next item is item 8D, water main easement request to service 1761 Clarkston Road. Back in June, Ken Zimiejuski, is that how you pronounce his name, pretty close? He is proposing to put in a storage unit at Way Station, near Way Station, I should say.
Water depot.
Water depot? Okay, water depot. And that's off Clarkston Road, just east of Joslin. And since then, he has secured water service, not requiring the Polly and Trail access. But supposedly he's still at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and he has made a request to council, as far as we understand, is that he wants to put up in, as opposed to a fence, a row of spireas.
There's
to
different
actually-
arborvitaes and spireas.
Okay, all right, so, I don't know if you can see in the packet or not, but he did put some renderings in to here. I thought they were sort of pretty cool looking, you know, kind of like a 3D layout. So that's sort of what he's proposing to us now. As far as I know, he doesn't have a ZBA decision yet,
Correct.
so why he's coming back to us with this proposal, it was going to be putting the spireas and other vegetation on the property line, but he also proposed to pave the parking lot for 50% of the cost. Now, I don't know, Donnie, do you have any reason why he would propose that if he didn't have to?
Well, I would have to just like surmise that he's trying to get 8 variances, and if he can show good faith and you guys support his good faith, because you're gonna get a parking lot, then it would give him buy-in to go back to the ZBA and to get what he wants. So, it's kind of sticky, because
Yeah, well, what,
because Linda and I went to the ZBA meeting saying, hey, dude, you are so close. You're infringing on our green space. And they were using our green space to give the green space that they're trying to get a variance from and use our green space. And we're like, no, use your own green space by giving more room between your buildings and our green space. And so he says, well, I'll give you a parking lot. And so then it puts us in a precarious position because all of a sudden, we went there to complain, and now we're going to approve that, yeah, we want a parking lot, and we don't want to, you know. So now, if we write a letter of like, yeah, we'd love a parking lot, then he takes it back to the ZBA and say, hey, we're best buds now, so you should give me 8 variances. So
Push it to the next.
There's not going to be a fence anymore?
not his proposal.
never, and I don't think he ever had a fence. And then the ZBA said, the problem with us giving you a variance is whatever we give you runs with the land, and you can choose to pull back what you said that you were gonna do and sell off the land, and it runs with the land, and then they can put a 12-foot, you know, who knows what they can put there, because once the ZBA gives the approval, then they no longer have to, I'm sure they would have to give the flowers that they agreed to and do the parking lot, but they could completely change the plan, and now we have lost our green space and our, I mean, it's supposed to be 25 feet away from, their buildings 25 feet away from our property, and they're proposing 5. They're supposed to have 37% of green space, they're proposing, I don't know, 7.
Yeah.
I have all the variants in which they're asking for. If anybody, I could read them.
So shouldn't we just wait till the ZBA acts to figure out whether or not, this is even going to work? I mean, what if the ZBA denies his request? Does it just take one to deny the project?
Well, yeah, they have to vote on it, you know,
So if one's denied, I mean, he could pull back his offer then if it gets denied, but we're at 0 benefit right now, whether we pay that parking lot or not. I mean, we're just looking at 50% of the cost. Linda's saying, yeah, we want that money to do the parking lot, but on the other hand, like Donnie said, we don't want to be in the middle of the applicant and the ZBA, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I just want to, like, I get both sides of it. And what we have right now at that site is terrible. So I'm not advocating either way on this, on that we move either way today, but it's disgusting here. The fence is terrible. The plans they presented are very nice. The plans look great. I believe it will be fully upkept. Otherwise, our code enforcement will be addressing it nonstop. I don't like the idea of losing green space, but the gentleman we talked to says that when they're developing the property, and it's adjacent to green space, they can use that as their green space. And while they're, I don't know, I guess I just want to give my opinion. It's way better than what's there now. I don't like the idea of a storage unit right on Clarkston Road, but.
Which you
Not
have
for me
now
to say.
versus what you could end up with, what you have now versus
Yeah.
maybe a little give and take. Diane?
And I just real quick, it's the same owner, so he has not been necessarily the best neighbor. So it's like, it's not like we're changing ownership. And then, the parking lot is supposed to have a setback from the road 25 feet, and he's asking for a variance as that. So it'll be, the parking lot will be right on the corner of that road. And so I have all the variances that he's asked for. There was something else I wanted to say. Past performance should dictate future, I don't know, but I'm just afraid
Future
that,
results.
I'm just afraid that if we write a letter and say, give us a parking lot, that would be great, then he's gonna take that back, and then he's gonna use that against us and use, whatever.
Use it for or against us. When is the next ZBA meeting? Will these come back to be determined?
September 8th, September 8th, 7th or 8th.
So why don't we just back this up to our October meeting if we need to talk about it?
And you might just say, thank you, or make a motion to receive and file the information, but I don't want to make that motion, but that might be something that somebody receive and file, that you've seen it.
Can we table this until Orion makes their own decision?
That's what I was saying. You
Yeah.
know, if they're meeting in September, then if it needs to come back to us, we can do it for our October meeting.
Well, let me ask a question and interrupt, but do we have $12,000 that we're gonna spend on?
No,
So.
no, that wasn't.
I mean,
Work on getting.
We have ways.
Okay.
We have ways.
Okay, well,
Drink a lot of
okay.
pop.
I was just curious, I mean, that would kind of answer, why are we talking about it if we can't do it?
How much are the easement fees?
Okay, Donnie, you want a motion, like you said, you want to say that?
No, she doesn't want anything.
I'd
She
like to
wants
make a
somebody
motion
else.
that we table this until the next meeting, or October meeting.
Yeah, we will postpone the discussion until the October, I think that is, the October Pollyant Trail Management Council meeting, if necessary.
20th.
October 20th. Linda, you have your hand up.
Oh, is it September before October?
But the ZBA doesn't meet. Does the ZBA meet before, what's our September meeting date?
September, no, 12th.
The 12th.
15th.
So the
September
ZBA is
15th.
before our meeting.
For what?
Our September meeting is September 15th.
When's the CBA?
Oh, it's the first Monday of the,
Right, of the
All
month.
right, we'll put it in September then.
Because we should have the information.
If we have the information, we'll put it that way. We'll postpone until September meeting pending having information available.
You okay with that, Bruce?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
would anybody like a copy of these variances?
No.
Did anyone second the motion?
No.
I'll
We're just-
second it.
Okay. We have a motion by Chairman Wright, second by Councilor Brakefield to postpone.
I thought it was Bruce Pearson that motion.
Yeah.
All right.
No, just put down Bruce Wright.
I was just gonna put a note in the minutes
Okay.
that it's postponed, but we'll take a vote on it. I'll move that
I
back.
want to know who made the motion.
Are you
Who made the
voting on
motion?
you or him?
I will back this up.
Could be a yes or a no.
I think Bruce made.
I will digress and let you have the motion, Curtis.
Oh, no, I don't want no more credit than I need.
The Curtis Pearson motion.
I was just talking out loud there. So we'll be back up. This is a motion by Councilor Pearson, second by Councilor
That turns into a
Brakefield.
no.
To postpone the direction on 1761 Clarkston Road until the September Pollyant Trail Management Council meeting. We're just gonna do all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Now we're back on track.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go to new business here. And David Buren? David, you're up.
You win a prize for being most.
Thank you for waiting. Sorry.
Approved.
Okay.
Yep. You are here to do an Eagle Scout project.
I don't know. What do I give you?
You can give it to the chair and you can pass around. How many do you
I
have?
have 3.
You have
Next
3?
time we have to.
So,
We can share.
yeah, we can share.
One over there.
Did you learn anything about community service yet?
Yeah.
Your future desires?
Confused. So I'm proposing for my Eagle project to build a fence around the water basin that I found under M24, as well as putting a plaque describing what it is. And yeah.
Okay, when do you plan to start?
Well, I'm planning on starting like as soon as I get everything like completely planned out. So it'll probably be end of August, beginning of September, when I actually do like build the fence and stuff.
Okay. And the fence will be what kind of material? Is it wood?
It's wood, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a split rail fence.
Is there a picture in here of it?
I didn't put it in the thing. I had a like slideshow, but I forgot to print it out. I have pictures on my phone if anyone wants to see it. Like,
Yeah, I think we get the idea.
Will it be totally enclosed? Will there be?
yeah, it'll be enclosed.
Okay.
Linda, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
At the village's last council meeting, it's escaping me, who said that it wasn't actually a water basin or a catch basin?
That was Brian, that it was, they weren't quite sure what it was. It's like a rainwater basin, but it wasn't like a water basin.
Okay.
So he wanted to clarify that it was storm water basin. Yeah, he's very exact, he's great that way.
Yes.
Right. And I wanted to also mention that before the meeting, John Knoll, who was not present, did state that I was to express that he does have resources available that we can present the proposals to get funds. So there are funds available that have been promised to stabilize it and to create it.
So any further questions for David on this project?
I like it. I like the history of it, and I love that you're doing this, because I think it should be preserved, and it's a good spot for it, because it's such a big, huge tank. Yeah.
So
So I appreciate you bringing this to us.
will it have to be moved or anything done?
it's just
gonna
where
stay
it is.
right where it is?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
And
Is that-
I'm sorry,
Is
Brian.
that a good location?
It's actually completely out of the way. It's completely off the trail. It's in a good spot. No matter what we do, we can drive around it, we can mow around it, we can do anything to it. Brian Coltier and Kelsey Cook, who is the president of the Village of Oxford Council, are both historians and have offered.
Ashley
Ross, oh, okay. Have offered their support to give you information. So
Okay.
they're both historians and they will work, help out.
And the village is a good one. Okay.
Okay, will there be a motion on the floor? Bruce, would you like to make a motion?
Well, I already made mine, so I'll let you make one.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to
Okay.
approve the Eagle Scout project by David Buren to put the fence around the, whatever that is, if you decide what it is.
Storm basin.
Storm basin.
And plaque.
And plaque, thank you.
Support.
Okay, motion by Councilor Brakefield, second by Treasurer Steele, to approve the Eagle Scout project by David Buren for the fencing and plaque around the storm structure. Any further comment? If not, why don't we do a roll call on this?
Pearson.
Yes.
Brakefield.
Yes.
Steele.
Yes.
Watley. Yes. Wright.
Yes.
Noel, absent. McDonald.
Yes.
Kemp, yes.
Okay. Congratulations, David. We look forward to seeing the
Thank you.
final product.
I need a signature from
Linda.
Is that?
Bring it up.
Okay.
and we'll get together, you know, and we'll get it all set, and then.
I want to see that motion.
Which one would you like? Yes?
Yeah.
And then that's when we're going to treat it too much. All that moving for them.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Item 9B is Lafayette Street in the Village of Asher, request for tree removal. Really brought to my attention of a resident indicating that there are overgrown branches off trees on the Pollyant Trail that were encroaching on his property, and he wants the Pollyant Trail to remove them. So, based on Linda's request, I'm bringing the council for some direction. I'm thinking not just for this property, but the future ones that may come about. I don't know of any that we've had since I've been sitting on council, but I'm thinking if we start doing tree trimming for other property owners, it's going to become quite an expensive project. So my opinion is that if somebody has trees overgrown on their property that they know is on their property, then they're free to trim. They look straight up on the property line, trim up whatever they want, and the rest is Pollyant Trail responsibility. So anybody else's comments are welcome right now. Council Mike, you have any?
Well, I concur. The law's pretty clear. We're not going on somebody else's property. If our tree's hanging over their property, they have a right to trim to the property line. And that's the way it's always been that I know of.
I don't know. The owner's not here, but Linda, give us some feedback and background and how this all occurred and why it's here.
Well, he called me several weeks ago in regards to branches that are hanging over his fence. I can't see over the fence. It's 6+ feet high, and it's a solid dog-ear fence, so you can't see through it, you can't see over it. I'm not going onto his property, into his backyard, to look at these branches. They're just basically trees that have grown over this 6-8 foot tall fence. And I told him at the time, I said, there's a heaven to hell rule. You can cut anything from heaven to hell on your property line. We don't care. Don't toss it back over the fence because, you know, I won't like that. I said, but go ahead and trim them. And he goes, no, I'm not trimming them. I want you to trim them. And I said, well, we're not insured for that. We're not bonded for that. We're not, you know, I'm not a landscaper. I'm not doing that. And I said, you know, he says, well, you know, they're your trees. You're welcome to trim them. So that's basically it. He was going to send me photographs. He was going to attend the meeting. And
Is this his place, Linda?
it's like,
In the cul-de-sac?
So
yes,
do we,
it's way in the
Seeing it
back.
hanging over the tree?
Yeah, and I'm not going on somebody else's
Yeah.
property, so.
I'd just like to make a comment. I agree, once we start saying that we're going to start trimming trees along the whole trail, this would be a never-ending thing. If they want to trim the trees that overhang onto their property, everybody has that right to do it. And even the road commission handles that same, you know, option, okay? So the road commission has trees along their right of way, but if you want to trim them, they do it. But you don't call the road commission and say, come trim your trees on my property.
so do we need something on record for this, or just?
Well, I would like the council to actually say, no, we're not doing that. So I can go back to him and say, you know, you're welcome to trim the trees that are on your side.
Donnie?
I'd like to make a motion that we have no intentions of trimming the trees for 85 Lafayette in Oxford, and that our responsibility is for the trees on our side of the fence, and his responsibility is for his trees on his side of the fence, which is his property, and we have no intentions of trimming them,
I'll second that.
Okay.
nor anybody else's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did you want to modify your
Yes,
motion to?
nor anybody else's, that
Okay, then I agree.
it follows the same process.
And the address is 89 Lafayette.
Thank you.
Then I'll second that.
Okay. We'll just go with the original motion with the additions on that as presented. You have all that, Allison?
Yes.
Okay. If not, we have a tape. Okay, everybody understand motion? We have a motion by Treasurer Steele, second by Councilor Brinkfield to indicate to this property owner that he's free to trim branches on his own property, we trim ours on our own, and any other occurrences along the Pollyant Trail will be dealt with in a similar manner. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. No? You're the no. Okay. The motion will carry?
There's a no.
There's a no.
I've got
Curious.
one question.
This is the next one.
And I'm looking at the picture of the trees hanging over. It does, the tree limbs are like way up in the air, okay? So you would almost have to bring in a utility truck to cut the tree limbs. They reach over, up, and then go way up over, and then come back down. So he can cut the bottom all day long, but it doesn't eliminate the issue. Is there any way we could give him permission to cut that tree limb off so it eliminate all of it?
If he comes to council and makes the
And
request,
ask the request.
he makes the request.
Which I did ask him to do today.
Yeah, because
And
there's no
pays
way
for
he can cut it on his side.
And pays for it.
And pays for it, yeah, he'll pay for it, of course. But I'm just asking if he comes, can this council even consider giving him a permission to go and cut that one limb off that's reaching up and over?
We don't
Didn't have to
know.
go on our
That's what they have
side.
tree spikes for. You can climb that.
No, you see it, the way it
89
looks?
Lafayette.
What
See
picture
it
are
how
you
it
looking
looks
at?
over? What I'm looking at is this
Okay,
tree
'cause that's-
way up here, and then it's coming down on his fence.
You might be seeing this resident as council.
That would do it, maybe, that long pole.
You know,
Because he would not be, if he, the homeowner, did, he would not be insured
He could do it with the long pole.
on his side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because.
all right, that's to be determined. We'll move on.
Okay, done.
Tree removal in Anderson Township. Linda thinks we have some dangerous trees there. This was a former request by a person to put a fence up, Mr. Tony Colangelo. Linda thinks we have trees near his property that might fall onto his house. So what Linda did is went out and got some quotes for tree removal. There's 3 trees that are proposed to be removed. There are bids from Patriot, who's the lowest for $1,000, Budget Tree Service for $1,500, and the Michigan Property Network for $1,700. So they did provide a certificate of insurance. That was the one that wasn't visible on the.
Correct. And he did modify his bid to $1,400 because he will be doing work in the area.
Also went up.
So, no,
Yeah.
no, it went from 1,700 to 1,400.
Oh,
So.
Which one?
So if we want to go with Michigan Property
Residential
Network,
Properties.
Oh.
Yeah,
it'll be the second highest bid.
right,
Second
correct.
lowest bid.
Yeah,
Either
Randy
way.
Scott, he did give us originally built a bid of 1,700, but because he's doing work in the area, he could reduce it to 1,400.
Done.
To me, $1,000, I understand the need of it, and $1,000 seems really high. And I think mobilization is part of the expense. Is there other things that need to be done up there that can be, like, so is there 4 trees that can be done, and he can do it for $1,200? And then we can have, versus just that one tree?
Well, there are 3 trees on the other side of the trail that I figured we'd have them taken down at the same time. They're all vine infested, basically. So instead of just doing one tree, I said, hey, give me the price for, they're all right in this cluster.
So this is for 3 trees?
3
This-
trees.
These bids are for 3
3
trees?
trees.
3 or 4?
3, 4-ish trees. They're kind of a split.
Are we doing this for the trail users, or are we doing this for someone who built a house right next to the trail after the trail had been there?
Good question. Good question, Linda.
Are we doing it for the trail users?
Are we doing it to,
Well, dangerous trees is dangerous trees.
it's in our,
Well,
it's,
then if we're doing it for the trail users, then we should take them down and pay for it. So
and it's in our right of way.
It's in our right-of-way. It's very, the tree is not that big, but it's very top-heavy.
Trees.
Well, the one particular one in Tony that I'm concerned about. The other one are just incidental, and he's doing them for $1,000.
I was thinking that our chipper guys could do it, but Linda says they won't touch it.
Yeah, the guys that work with me, Bob and Kip, they're like, there's
found
a
that you've
huge
found one.
cluster of vines on the south side of this particular tree. I think it shows in the picture. And it's very top-heavy, and it's very small at the base. A big storm is going to take that down, and the only place it's going to twist and go to is in Tony's house.
Well, we've had pretty good examples of
Yeah, I
storms in
know,
the
and
last few months.
don't
It seems to be
think I didn't
still
go out
holding
there.
pretty tight.
Yeah, don't think I didn't go out there and take a look at it, because I'm pretty concerned about it.
We're concerned about trail users.
It could fall on the trail user.
Oh,
is what
God,
I'm
yeah,
saying. That's-
absolutely.
If it can fall on the trail user, it's a
Yeah.
dead tree, then we should take it down.
I think it's
so
a
it
safety
doesn't
issue
fall on our
for the
people.
trail.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Right.
not good.
Aaron, what do you think? Allison, what do you think?
I feel like it's a responsibility either way.
So,
You don't, I mean, I didn't hear, what?
I feel like it's our responsibility
If
either.
it- if-
Like,
Yeah,
he
we don't want
can't
our
remove it
people
himself,
beating
but it's
on the
gonna hit
head
his house.
with a dead tree that we know is there.
Yeah, if our tree guys don't want to take it down, and it clearly needs to come down because we've taken down other trees that have the potential to fall on the trail, I'd be in favor of that. In fact, I'll make a motion. Unless that good,
Well, I've got, in our conversation, I hate to say it, but we're kind of obligated now because we brought it up. A tree could fall on one of our trail users.
That's,
If it does, God forbid, they could say, we have a record where you are acknowledging this tree could fall on us. So we're pretty much obligated to make the motion to take it down now because we did make it
all right,
for the
Mike, go
record.
ahead.
okay, I'll
Well, I've
make,
been making that same argument with the road commission on the umbrella that's gone over all of our roads and
Well, they are ignoring you.
now, I know they are, and that's what I'm saying, but this one is a dead tree, and that's one thing the road commission generally does. If it's a dead tree and it can fall on people driving down the road, then take care of it. So,
okay, I'm going to make a motion then that 3 trees be removed by Patriot Tree Removal at a cost of $1,000 due to their proximity to the trail and the danger to the trail users.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Vice Chairman McDonald, second by Councilor Pearson to approve the quote for Patriot Tree Removal for a cost of $1,000 for the removal of 3 trees. Any further comments, questions, concerns? If not, call the roll. Allison, please.
Brakefield.
Yes.
Steele.
Yes.
Watley.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Noel, Absent, McDonald.
Yes.
Kemp, yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Pearson, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Who's that?
That's okay. Curtis does the same thing to me. Don't worry.
I do, I'm kind of just like floating along here today, kind of missing the beats here a little bit. I think it's policy overload. On to item 9D, Pure Michigan signage. We approved for 10 signs to be placed on the Pollyant Trail back in June. And in addition to that, Linda solicited complete automation, and what they're going to do is they're proposing to put the silhouette of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan as a background to the sign and place that onto a nice decorative post. It'll be similar to the quality that we got with the markings of the parks and the parking lots with complete automation. In the packet, you'll see the picture of the sign that's going up, and then just a schematic of what the sign and the background would look like on the post itself. So it looks like it's going to be a nice product once it's finished, considering that the proposal is approved. They're donating the material in their time window.
They're donating the time and materials. The co-owner of the business's wife is an equestrian horsewoman, and her group has also offered to help support and offset the cost with a monetary donation. So money is forthcoming with that. Deanna, who is our Girl Scout Award, did have an excess of $1,237 left over from her project that she did donate back to the trail. She did request that it go for something really cool on the trail. So potentially, maybe this could be the really cool project. So if we do need funds, we could kind of earmark some of that or all of that money to help offset the costs that would not be covered by complete automation or the equestrian team.
Sure.
I make a motion. I'll move to authorize the Pollyant Trail manager, Linda Brown, to work with complete automation to produce the sign posts and sign backing for the signs designating the Pollyant Trail as a pure Michigan trailway.
Support with a comment if you question.
Okay, motion by Councilor Wiley, second by Treasurer Steele to approve the signage. Go ahead.
It just, not to get carried away with too many signs, I mean, I don't know if there's an opportunity to add to the signs that already are there.
I was going to ask him, I was looking at those the other day, we could potentially add them to the back side of the signs. So the front sign would be the name, and that would eliminate a lot of the costs and eliminate one more signpost. Because if we're talking of putting up 10 more of these signs, it's going to start looking like Las Vegas down there. I mean, it really is. We're just going to get too many signs. I keep pulling out posts and trying to consolidate now, in another couple of years, it's going to be crazy.
What additional signs were you thinking?
Well, the signpost, yeah, those.
For the other side?
Yeah, the other side.
Yeah.
So his son, Jacob, is the Eagle Scout to put those up. And if we could put that Michigan silhouette on the back side of that.
But that, it's no longer a railroad sign.
That's true.
I mean, that really kind of takes away from the effect of the cross arms and the.
I was just thinking at the bottom, not necessarily at the back.
Yeah, we can put them more into our parking lot areas where this is more onto the trail. And maybe we don't do 10, maybe we only do 5, one for each community. That will eliminate the cost and kind of consolidate some of our stuff, because it's just, you don't want to overdo. You want to have enough, but you don't want to overdo.
So is there going to be any out of pocket for us, money-wise?
Unknown at this time.
No.
If we do use that money that was donated by Deanna, the equestrian club, and then what a Complete Automation has generously donated or is willing to donate to us, possibly not.
Okay.
And we need to say a thank you letter to both of them, or do
We need to make them some cookies.
Yeah.
We need to bake some cookies.
Is that
and wrap
upon
up some
completion?
tea.
They-
What?
Upon completion?
Well, I think along the way to keep the sugar up.
right.
They are stellar. They are great community supporters. I mean, they all are. And Steve has, I contacted him because he did reach out to me and say anytime he needs some sort of artistic thing, let me know. Because he is a graphic design artist and he has an unbelievable talent. He is very talented. So these signs are going to be made.
Okay.
So anyway, that's it.
That motion on the floor to approve the project. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. On to item 9E, banners and lights on the Larry Obrecht Bridge. In your packet was an email from the Oxford Chamber of Commerce requesting to put lights on the Pollyant Trail Bridge, which is the Larry Obrecht Bridge. And we approved this last year. We've made the request again this year, so it doesn't appear to be an issue. But I also added, if Village Council wants new banners on it, we can make that motion and give them the leeway whether or not they approve wanting banners or not, unless Council doesn't want banners on the trail bridge.
The Oxford Village Council is talking about amending our own ordinance to allow signs on the bridge if the council is agreeable, trail council is agreeable. They would be limited to government entities. It'd be more about our DDA putting up signs, the village government putting up signs. It wouldn't be, we would not be opening up to commercial. Our goal is not to have a whole bunch of banners up there, but it'd be more about Scarecrow Festival, Girlfriend's Night, etc. So if we're talking about amending that ordinance, I kind of want to take a temperature of what the trail council thinks about signs on the bridge.
We've allowed them before, so me personally, I don't see an issue with it. It'd probably be just the timing, as long as they go down after the event. And as far as, I think if you just keep it generic, you're promoting an event, not a particular business, so it doesn't become kind of discriminatory maybe. Be the word where you're approving it for them and not me, I couldn't get it, but that's something the council has to do.
That's something we have to narrow down.
Actually.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to authorize lights and banners on the Pollyant Trail Management Council, Larry Obrecht Bridge, subject to the approval of the Oxford Village Council for the remainder of 2021. Will that work, or do we need to go past?
I think she wanted to remove the lights.
I put a motion on it to remove by 18th of January.
Okay.
Because last year when we did the approval, they extended it, which for me, wasn't an issue, but it was contrary to what the council approved.
Short-term goals, I'm sorry, we can finish the motion.
Well, yeah, I'll go back and say, I move to approve the Oxford Chamber of Commerce request to place lighting on the Larry Obrecht Bridge from December 1st through January 18th of 2022, and to approve any request from the Village of Oxford to place banners on the bridge pending any necessary approvals from the Village of Oxford, MDOT, MDNR, and providing a certificate of insurance with the named insured as the Pollyant Trailway Management Council and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources as additionally insured. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Vice Chair McDonald, second by Councilor Wakefield for the approval of banners and lights on the Larry Obrecht Bridge. Any further discussion, comments?
The short-term goal is to have lights on the bridge. On the back burner would be leaving them up year-round, but that is
I have no
more of a
problem with
nebulous thought right now.
Yeah, lights would be okay. I'm not sure, I like the special occasion signage.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of year-round.
We don't want it to turn into
Right,
a bulletin board necessarily for everything.
but that's personal.
But we would like to put up the Scarecrow Festival signage. So I don't know if we need to make another motion.
No, if
As long
this
as-
motion goes, you have a green light to put banners up.
Yeah, it's all subject to village council
And that's,
approval though.
exactly, I have a feeling we have very similar goals and, limitations we want to place on signage.
Unless you have approvals from us, the MDNR and/or MDOT. Okay, everybody understand the motion on the floor?
So they can so the DDA and the village can put up any signs from their municipality for special events on our bridge all the time?
No,
No.
they can only put up between now and January 18th.
Oh, it's stuff.
Only with the permission of the Oxford Village Council.
Okay.
The DDA is an entity.
Got it.
We
Okay.
gave them permission, so the DDA would work with the Village Council.
Village, okay.
And that's it. It's
Okay,
not,
thank you.
It's not wholesale.
Okay, Elson, can you call the roll, please?
Brakefield.
Yes.
Steele.
Yes.
Watley.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes?
Nold absent. McDonald.
Yes.
Kemp. Yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. On to item 9F, law enforcement and code enforcement procedure for the Pollyant Trail. We've had several incidents happen on the Pollyant Trail over the years that's caused some issues for our trail manager. And what I'd like to do is try to get some sort of procedure to assist the trail manager in how incidents are to be handled. This last one escalated into a lot of discussion on both sides, so it's a matter of he said, she said, so what I'm looking for is if an incident does occur, how do you want the trail manager to handle that? I mean, it's been anywhere from trying to take matters into your own hands to contacting law enforcement, feeling that law enforcement wasn't responsive quick enough, or maybe something else. But there's been incidents that need our direction to help you to maybe keep things safer.
I'm not, could we hear, I mean,
I don't know what.
we have a lease agreement with the DNR that says that we're obligated to enforce the laws, and that conservation officers are available to us to do that if necessary, not just, we don't have to rely on local resources.
But
They're not as responsive as we would like, but I'm not sure why.
What kind of incidents is
Well,
that?
we had recently children on dirt bikes on the trail in Orion Township. We contacted the sheriff. The sheriff responded quickly and actually caught the children on the dirt bikes on the Pollyant Trail. And he basically said, don't do that anymore. Called the mother. The mother came and got the boys and the bikes. And she said, I told them not to get on the trail during, busy times. So he should have, in my opinion, and I'm not anything, given them a ticket or at least a warning, because these kids get caught out here all the time. We had one where the sheriff was engaged and he caught them playing chicken with trail users. Caught them, got their names, their addresses. We sent the parents letters. One family refused to accept the letter. They weren't ticketed, bikes weren't impounded, nothing happened. These kids are getting more and more aggressive because nothing's happening. And I just think that, I don't know what I'm thinking. The parents should be ticketed, the bike should be impounded. I did contact our conservation officer, Christopher Knight. There are only 4 conservation officers that patrol these trails in Oakland County. He tries to respond, but he's not, he's somewhere else in Oakland County, he can't get down here. If he catches somebody, he impounds their vehicles, he tickets them. There's protocols. I mean, it's ATVs and Addison are getting out of control up there. I get calls pretty much every day about ATVs or dirt bikes up there.
Where?
In Addison Township.
So Bruce, as a former law enforcement
Which they do.
officer,
Well, my issue is, all somebody has to do is contact me, because I walk right over into the sheriff's station and find out what the issue is, and I find out who the perpetrators are and what the outcome was, and if they gave them a warning, that's fine, but then if it's a second time, I expect that a ticket would be written. All you gotta do is contact the township supervisors of each community and ask them to follow up on the incident on the trail. And generally, the deputies have a good explanation why they only gave a warning or whatever, because generally that's what they do the first time. But if it's over and over again, then, I have personal contact with my station commander. I know everything that goes on in that community. They call me even at night, so, I mean, I have no problem walking over. Just let me know if there's anything in Addison, and it'll be handled.
Well, in Addison, just tell Bruce the color of the motorcycle, and he'll tell you the whole family and
I'll tell you the history.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is, in Addison, we're not catching them. That's the problem. The few that we catch, it's like, if we can do something to set an example with the few that we catch. And, we had one last summer in Addison, they finally caught in Oxford, in the village of Oxford, and they did catch him. But he ran from the sheriff in Addison, and finally the village of Oxford caught him. So, I mean, I just don't know what to do. I mean, I get calls from trail users complaining about these ATVs, and I'm like, did you call the sheriff? And they're like, well, we don't know what to do. I always tell them to call the sheriff and to respond.
They're the only ones who have the authority
Yeah.
to handle it.
And I think that cameras help. So I think the special areas where you continually have that,
Right.
and then they have a camera. But I've noticed in Orion that it didn't matter if they got caught or not, and they let them go. And it was over and over. And I did talk to the commander, and they were like, I'm not getting, they have so, you don't want to say they have so many other issues, but they have so many other issues that it's tough to put a lot of resources in these things. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but
Are these repeat offenders in Orion?
No, I mean,
repeat incidences.
repeat incidences, and that's the problem. And, the ones that we catch, let's say we've caught 10 people the last year. if nothing happens as far as a ticketing or, a write-up, an impound, that sort of thing, it doesn't set a precedent. So these kids just like, you know what, I got caught by the sheriff last time, nothing happened. And these kids are getting more and more aggressive. I had one trail user call and he said, I won't walk on the trail anymore because these kids are playing chicken with me. I'm 70-some years old and they're playing chicken on their dirt bikes with me. They're running up the trail. I mean...
Has he made a complaint though?
No, and that's the
See, that's
problem
something you can't
because...
control.
Yeah, and I just am looking for guidance, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I call the sheriff when I
think
see it.
that's,
Yeah.
to me, that's your outlet.
Yeah.
The law enforcement, they make the discretion on what decision they're going to make, whether they warn the person or ticket them, on the bike.
They like cameras, because if you get cameras and you can give them a license plate and stuff, then they can do something.
I've given them photographs of 3 ATVs, and they said, well, we can't do anything, we don't know who they are. I gave them their name, I gave them their address, and I gave them the father's phone number, and nothing
But,
happened.
you've done what you can do, Linda.
Yeah,
You need to
I
let the
know.
law enforcement
Right.
do
And
what they need to do.
So I'm
That's
just
what
looking
they're
for
hired
guidance. I'm just
Yeah.
bringing a problem to light, and I'm not faulting anybody. I mean, I love our sheriffs. We can't live without them, and they do a fantastic job. They're underfunded, understaffed, and
If you have an incident whatsoever and as a township, if people running on there and the sheriff's, you just contact me, the township supervisor, and I'm sure that will go for the other areas also, or for the village, I'm sure you can contact the village president or whatever, and we'll find out from the sheriff why that kind of enforcement was taken, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
So are we talking that plus code enforcement? Is it 2 separate topics?
it's basically just one. I mean,
So the code enforcement where people are throwing their junk over across the...
the trail, and code enforcement is, again, it's where homeowners are throwing stuff on the trail and, over their fence and that sort of thing.
So is that part of this conversation?
Is that a
It is.
problem?
It is.
We've had problems in
There's-
Oxford Township.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's always going to be a problem.
I know it is.
I mean,
In my area, I have a retired deputy that's my code enforcer, and he'll
He's
all I
always-
gotta do is let me know, and he'll handle it.
And it's just, I'm just bringing the situation to light. I understand that we can't do anything, I can't do anything. I'm just bringing it just bringing a situation to light.
I think that code enforcement, I'm happy to engage code enforcement for those type of things, for debris, and I think that we have to.
Yeah. It just seems like recently in the last year, things by vandalism has quadrupled, that sort of thing. It's just crazy. I'm just venting.
But you just have to let me know, because I can handle that part in Addison, and I'm sure the other communities can handle it too.
we can really
I have a
manage
very
that.
good rapport. I sign their paychecks.
Anything further, Linda, you got sort of an idea of
Yeah.
where you need to go if you need to go on this stuff? Anything that happens? Okay, last item that was added to the agenda is the approval for some, what was it, Linda? Chipper blades. Linda, you said the cost $349?
I gave you the invoice. I don't have the invoice.
I don't have it with me either.
Okay, it was like $349. It was just over the $300 threshold. Those are for Bob and Kim for Bob's chipper. My husband has been sharpening the blades that he has to the point there's not much of a blade left. So because he's giving us such a rockin' deal on chipping, he just asked if we could possibly kick in a couple of bucks for the blades.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Steele. Any second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Counselor Pearson to approve the purchase of some chipper blades. Okay, any further questions, comments?
not to, is there an amount?
I said 350.
Okay, not to exceed.
Yeah, not to exceed.
Okay. Okay, motion second on the floor. Can you call the roll, Allison, please?
Yep.
Watley?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Held absent. McDonald?
Yes.
Conti, yes. Pearson?
Yes.
Brakefield?
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. Public comment, nobody but the camera person unless you have comments.
Not today.
Okay.
Cleared the room again.
Well, it's over. Council comments, we'll just go around the room. Bruce, we'll start with you.
I have no comment.
Okay, Ed,
No comment.
Mike,
Linda, keep doing what you're doing with the law enforcement and all that. That's all I can say. We do that, we're doing everything we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's just, I get concerned. That's all.
any more, Mike?
Yeah, great packet, 100 pages. I think that's a new record, but I could be wrong. I know I had some pretty thick ones too. But nice job, Curtis. I know
Records
it's
are
hard.
really broken.
It's a lot to put together.
All right, Donnie, anything?
Thanks everyone for their hard work, especially on that easement. I appreciate your time and effort in there, and and then I have a great thing for the MTA OCC tomorrow at Oakland University, and I'm inviting everybody, even though you're not all part of townships. We need bodies, so I'm passing this out. That's my comment.
Okay, Aaron?
Good job, Linda. And then after the meeting, you all need to get out of here. We have a
Tammy's
planning and
coming
zoning
in.
meeting.
She's coming in to hand her the application.
Oh, wow, what time's that start?
6 o'clock, but they're prepping like right now.
Oh, hurry up. Okay.
Take one down, pass it around.
Thank you, everyone. Mike, thanks for doing the meeting minutes when I can't be here.
No problem.
Sorry, I have a job where I work, 8 to 5, 8 to 4, so I can't always make it. So, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Chair really has no comment, so we'll make sure that the planning and zoning keep it here on time. So with that, motion to adjourn at, what time is it, Mike? 5:04.
I made that motion to adjourn.
Motion by
Brakefield.
Councilor Brakefield, second by
Seal.
Councilor Steele, Treasurer Steele, to adjourn at 5:04. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.